This November, the future of female leadership takes center stage at the second annual Digital Power of Women conference. Join us as we amplify the voices of female leaders and advocate to increase the participation of female leaders in decision-making processes to advance peace, security, and human rights for all. Mark your calendar and tune in on November 17th and 18th on YouTube. This November, the future of female leadership takes center stage at the second annual Digital Power of Women conference. Join us as we amplify the voices of female leaders and advocate to increase the participation of female leaders in decision-making processes to advance peace, security, and human rights for all. Mark your calendar and tune in on November 17th and 18th on YouTube.
but can't do anything. I'm turning history into her story here tonight. Oh, oh. If we only got one life, we gotta live it right. We're the mothers and daughters, sisters and queens. If we lift up each other, we can achieve anything. We're the ones who are gonna make the change. We're the ones who are gonna flip the page. Spread love like rings in the water. Yeah, that's the power of a woman. We'll raise our voices until we are heard. We won't stop. Turn up the volume till we change the world. We didn't come this far to not reach the stars. So let's begin by turning history into her story. It's enough. Oh, if we only got one life, we gotta live it right now. We're the mothers and daughters, sisters and queens. If we lift up each other, we can achieve anything. We're the ones who are gonna make a change. We're the ones who are gonna flip the page. Spread love like rings in the water. Yeah, that's the power of women. We got the power, we got the power. We got the power, we got the power, we got the power. Oh, tonight we're gonna ride our names across the sky so they'll know the power of women. Sisters and queens, sisters and queens. We can achieve anything. We're the ones who are gonna make the change. We're the ones who are gonna flip the page. Spread love like rings in the water. Yeah, that's the power. We got 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 the power. Oh, tonight we're gonna ride our names across the sky so they'll know the power of women.
Shri Mata Amritanandamayi Devi, affectionately known as Amma, dedicates literally every day of her life to consoling suffering people all over the world. Her message and the essence of her compassion is expressed in her darshan, the motherly embrace she has given to more than 33 million people throughout her life. She has been known to give darshan for more than 22 hours without interruption. When people pour out their hearts to Amma, she offers them emotional solace, spiritual guidance, and concrete solutions to their problems. Receiving Amma's embrace, many feel inspired to offer selfless service to those in need. In this way, this simple yet powerful act has become both catalyst and symbol for a growing international network of humanitarian initiatives known collectively as Embracing the World.
Embracing the World exists to help alleviate the burden of the world's poor through helping to meet each of their 5 basic needs: food, shelter, education, healthcare, and livelihood, wherever and whenever possible. We are especially focused on helping to meet these needs in the aftermath of major disasters.
Our volunteers have provided immediate aid and long-term rehabilitation for survivors of the Gujarat earthquake in 2001, the Kashmir earthquake in 2005, the Mumbai floods in 2005, and Cyclone Aila in West Bengal in 2009. In the United States, after Hurricane Katrina, Embracing the World donated $1 million to the Bush-Clinton Katrina Fund in aid to help the survivors.
Augmenting these efforts, we work in the fields of environmental conservation and sustainability to help protect the future of our fragile planet. Through Amrita University, our researchers are innovating new means of delivery of goods, knowledge, information, energy, and healthcare to enable us to help those in need here and now, wherever they are. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami was the most devastating tsunami in recorded history, claiming nearly 228,000 lives. Amma visited some of the worst-hit areas in Tamil Nadu, where more than 8,000 people were killed, and personally consoled each person who came to meet her. Amma's volunteers distributed more than 185 tons of rice and other provisions over the next several months, as well as 6 million meals to tsunami survivors.
With most of the labour and services provided free of charge by thousands of volunteers from all over the world, the actual value of relief provided was even greater than that reflected by the expenditure.
Embracing the World was the first non-governmental organisation to complete permanent housing for tsunami survivors in India. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake was the fifth most powerful earthquake in recorded history and triggered a devastating tsunami with 40-meter waves. Nearly 16,000 people lost their lives, and almost 130,000 buildings were completely destroyed. Within 3 days of the disaster, Embracing the World sent its first group of volunteers to the affected areas to assess the situation on the ground and to distribute food and water for the refugees. Later that same year, during Amma's visit to Japan, she announced a $1 million donation to help pay for the education of children who had been orphaned by the disaster in the prefecture of Miyagi. Amma then made an unscheduled stop in one of the tsunami-affected areas of northern Japan. Amma visited one of the relief centers for refugees, where she embraced and consoled each resident, offering them her shoulder to cry on.
In 2013, Embracing the World announced a $2 million relief package for the massive destruction caused by Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines. On Amma's third visit to Kenya in 2011, She was welcomed by the Vice President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. Amma was there to officially inaugurate Amrita Watoto Boma, a care home for more than 50 children. Spread across 11 acres on the banks of the Athi River, Amrita Watoto Boma provides shelter, food, education, and healthcare in a loving environment, managed and run by Embracing the World volunteers. Facilities include dormitories, classrooms, a playground, sports facilities, and a medical clinic. The children come from across Kenya, identified with the help of the Kenyan government's children's officers, as well as social workers, village chiefs from poor slums, and references from local church pastors. During the Mahatma Gandhi International Sanitation Convention in Delhi, the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, and Mr. Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, presented an award to Amma, recognizing the Mata Amritanandamayi Mat's efforts in support of India's Clean India campaign. The Prime Minister thanked Amma for the Mat's dedicated service to cleanliness and environmental protection. Amma joined Pope Francis and 10 other world-renowned religious leaders in the Vatican for an initiative to eradicate modern slavery and human trafficking, and signed a joint declaration of religious leaders against modern slavery. Amma was formally invited by the government of the United Arab Emirates to participate in an Interfaith Alliance forum titled Child Dignity in the Digital World, in which more than 450 faith leaders from all religions were involved. The crisis of online child sex abuse is very real and growing. 800 million youngsters are currently increasingly at risk of falling prey to sexual predators. Amma delivered the opening address as part of a call to action by faith leaders and participated in the Faith Leaders Summit. Amma and 5 senior faith leaders pledged to support the Abu Dhabi Interfaith Declaration for Child Protection. On the 24th of August 2022, the world stood witness to an auspicious occasion of the launch of a great institution. 130 acres of a sprawling health city campus is equipped to cater to 81 specialities. With over 2,600 beds, Amrita Hospital in Faridabad is India's largest private hospital, equipped with advanced medical facilities, with a built-up area of over 100,000 square feet. Addressing the gathering, the Prime Minister reminded the world of Amma's mission and service to humanity. Amma is the embodiment of love, kindness, service, and renunciation. She is the messenger of India's spiritual tradition. The government of India had assumed the presidency of the G20 for 1 year, from December 1st, 2022 to November 30th, 2023. Amma is chair of the Civil 20 Engagement Group, and in advance of the summit, C20 will collaborate with hundreds of civil service and non-governmental organizations from around the world to represent the concerns of the common people. The Civil 20 India 2023 was held in Nagpur. Countries and society that try to rise on their own will surely fail. This is a warning from nature to mankind. Hence, let our mantra be mingle, not single. From ancient times, the world is one family has been the mantra of Indian soil. It still is today and will continue to be so in the future. The presidency of the G20 nations is a unique opportunity to model this truth before the world. May this initiative, undertaken by Honorable Prime Minister and the government under his leadership, inspire change in the world's outlook.
myself I am, gonna tell myself I can't do anything. I'm turning history into her story here tonight. Oh, oh. If we only got one life, we gotta live it right. We're the mothers and daughters, sisters and queens. If we lift up each other, we can achieve anything. We're the ones who are gonna make the change. We're the ones who are gonna flip the page. Spread love like rings in the water. Yeah, that's the power of a woman. We'll raise our voices until we are heard. We won't stop. Turn up the volume till we change the world. We didn't come this far to not reach the stars. So let's begin by turning history into her story. Here tonight. Oh, oh. If we only got one life, we gotta live it right now. We're the mothers and daughters, sisters and queens. If we lift up each other, we can achieve anything. We're the ones who are gonna make a change. We're the ones who are gonna flip the page. Spread love like rings in the water. Yeah, that's the power of women. We got the power, we got the power. We got the power, we got the power, we got the power. Oh, tonight we're gonna ride our names across the sky so they'll know the power of woman. Sisters and queens, sisters and queens. We can achieve anything. We're the ones who are gonna make the change. We're the ones who are gonna flip the page. Spread love like rings in the water. Yeah, that's the power. We got 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 the power. Oh, tonight we're gonna ride our names across the sky so they'll know the power of women.
The Power of Women anthem represents the symbolic transition that embraces and accepts our power as mothers, daughters, sisters, and queens. While we have long demanded equality, we believe it is time to transcend from being silent leaders of society and step into the power we innately possess as women. It is time to bring forth a world where women stand as the foundational pillars of a value-based society with wellness as the focal point. The Power of Women anthem represents a new era of women's empowerment, where we stand up and claim our rightful place as leaders and agents of change in our communities as well as in the world. By stepping into our innate power, we automatically extend the space for other women and men to do the same. We recognize that men play an integral role. It is therefore important that men participate and support this journey. Together, we can create a world where all people are treated with dignity, respect, and equality. This is by being receptive and open to fresh perspectives through a collaborative process. Remember, if not us, then who?
O mundo mudou Se antes a gente ficava na frente dos jornais, das telas, esperando notícias do mundo, agora ele tem cada vez mais a nossa cara, a nossa voz, o nosso olhar, a nossa história. O mundo muda e nos coloca em movimento para mudar também. Somos autores da mudança que queremos. E o Brasil nos dá uma grande oportunidade de participar dessa mudança. Com o G20 Social, movimentos sociais, organizações populares e pessoas de qualquer parte do mundo podem trazer suas propostas. Tem a chance de pautar discussões da agenda global envolvendo as maiores economias do mundo. A plataforma de participação social do governo Brasil Participativo foi especialmente adaptada para abrigar o G20 Social, que ganha uma ferramenta interativa, o G20 Social Participativo. Assim, amplia suas fronteiras com ambientes digitais bilíngues para receber propostas de todo o mundo. O G20 Social já envolve milhares de organizações sociais de 60 países que participam de reuniões e grupos de trabalho desde fevereiro, com propostas inovadoras e avanços concretos, e mostram que a sociedade sabe o que quer, sabe fazer e sabe colher os frutos de um novo tempo. Seja parte desta mudança. É tempo de falar, é tempo de fazer, é tempo de mudar. Para acessar, você só precisa de internet e cadastro no site gov.br. Entre, participe e contribua para o futuro. Sua participação é a sua assinatura na nova agenda global e deixará marca na cúpula social do G20, a primeira na história do Fórum das Maiores Economias do Mundo, que acontece entre 14 e 16 de novembro no Rio de Janeiro. Essa é a marca do G20 Brasil.
I'm going to tell you a story about a place called Brazil. A Brazil woven with the vivid colors of its culture and history. A country that is much bigger than you may think. I'm going to tell you about a journey I went through between historical monuments and vibrant festivals. In the cities and villages of this country, where I discovered that its squares and streets are not just cobblestone paths, but stages of rich traditions and cultural expressions. Here, tourism goes beyond sightseeing, as it offers an authentic experience that allows you to experience and absorb the local cultural heritage. And when a street party takes place with dancers showing off typical costumes, I don't just see rhythm, but an important piece of Brazil, a part of this country's vibrant and resilient essence. In each city, you'll find spaces that breathe history and reverberate the strength of local traditions. In every museum, theater, and street, passionate and knowledgeable guides are waiting to share the secrets of Brazilian culture, leading you through an experience of enrichment and wonder. Brazil is always reinforcing its commitment to preserving and promoting its cultural heritage. Here, through the combination of tradition and modernity, you'll find more than monuments and events. You'll find the soul of the Brazilian people. Come along, experience, discover. Let Brazil touch your soul as it did mine. Here, every visit is a history lesson, and every experience a plunge into the cultural heart of Brazil. Cultural tourism, the journey to discover Brazil's artistic and historical roots.
Marhaba, and hello everyone. Distinguished leaders, heads of state, and honorable delegates of the G20 summit. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you. Congratulations on gathering in Brazil, a great nation of resilience and diversity. May this summit lead to decisive actions for our planet, poverty reduction, and a future of justice and peace. Gathering in Rio de Janeiro, the birthplace of the past three Rio summits on climate, reminds us of commitments made to address global warming. Despite some progress after these three summits, but emissions remain too high, causing degradation to Earth's ecosystems and biodiversity, and triggering environmental disasters. The poorest communities bear the greatest burden of this crisis, while wealthier nations fall short in their commitments. Now is the time to honor those promises, to protect our planet, and achieve true climate justice. Global peace is at stake in Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, my country, Yemen, and beyond. Oppression and conflict cause unimaginable suffering. Humanitarian crises intensify as civilians face massacres, famine, and destruction. To achieve peace, we must address the root of war by ending occupations, protecting human rights, combating poverty, ensuring justice, fostering dialogue and arbitration, and committing to fair recovery. Economic equality is pillar of global peace, justice, and security. Over 700 million people live in extreme poverty, lacking education, healthcare, and clean water. You, you as leaders of nations representing 85% of the world's GDP, you hold the wealth, influence, and responsibility to reduce poverty, close the wealth gap, and support sustainable development. To achieve global stability and cooperation, it is essential to reform global governance by evolving international institutions like the World Bank, IMF, WTO, United Nations, and the International Security Council to create more inclusive world. Too often these institutions marginalize voices from the global south, even though they bear the greatest burden of global crisis and offer valuable solutions. A key part of this reform is ending the P5 veto power, which undermines the Security Council's impartiality and effectiveness, and at the same time contradicts principles of fairness and equality among nations. Leaders of the world, remember that the world and humanity are watching you and expecting much from you. Use your power to heal, not to harm, to unite, not to divide. This summit is your choice, is your chance to act with vision and courage, building a world where dignity, peace, climate justice, and sustainability prevail over short term gains and exploitation. I wish you success in turning Rio's summit's resolutions into urgent action. Thank you, Brazil. May you lead with purpose and bring the change we all hope to see. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum.
We cannot eat coal, we cannot drink oil, and we cannot have any new fossil fuel investments, and that is coal, oil, and gas.
People all around the world are marching against fossil fuels.
When the people rise up, the powers come down. When the people rise up, the powers come down.
Não existe justiça climática sem coletivo. A justiça climática ela precisa ser trabalhada pensando nas especificidades que cada coletivo necessita.
We need to act in time, we need to stop investing in fossil fuels, we need to stop using fossil fuels in every single sector and in every single region across the world.
If we don't get it, we see you, we love you, we will get justice for you. That's the real
We must urge world leaders to sign on to a new fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty, which would ensure a just and equitable transition away from fossil fuels.
End
fossil fuels!
Thank you all very much.
We need to convene together, not just as nations and the people in power, but as people, and spaces that create ways for those networks to be built are incredibly important to reaching a place of planetary solidarity.
With this event, we will have 3 days of debates of the 10th G20 or P20 parliamentarians in Brasilia. And I'd ask, is there a better way to start the event already within this plenary, and that by the discussion of the results and the recommendations of the first meeting of the P20 women parliamentaries in the 1st and 2nd of past June. The role of women in politics, in the economy and in the society is at the center of the discussion, and we pretend to promote in this forum and in the summit. We cannot speak of combating hunger, poverty, inequality, if we do not advance in promoting equality of gender, of the female economic autonomy, and overcoming racism. These are the conditions that are essential so that all women can live with dignity and to be free and to occupy the spaces they desire. We cannot talk about development that is sustainable without talking about women's position, especially those in situation of vulnerability. These are the ones that suffer the most the impacts of climate change. And as we know, women have a vital role in managing natural resources in their communities, knowing and having sustainable practices that can break or mitigate environmental changes. And we cannot talk about governance adapted to the 21st century if we don't amplify and increase the places of women in politics and in other instances of power, be it internal or international. The Interparliamentary Union's speaker, Ms. Tulia Axon, 3 minutes.
Mr. President, I thank you for this opportunity. Distinguished speakers of Parliament, esteemed parliamentarians and guests, dear friends. It is my great honor to address you today, and I state here with deep conviction that the work we do today is not only vital for our parliaments, but for the future of our societies. Today's forum builds on the momentum created at the meeting of the P20 women parliamentarians earlier this year, where the Charter of Alagoas was adopted. It is our collective responsibility to transform these commitments into actionable steps that make a tangible difference in the lives of women and girls worldwide. Colleagues, in our discussions today, we must confront a stark reality. Despite progress, gender inequality remains deeply entrenched, including in political decision-making. Currently, women make up just 27% of parliamentarians globally, and only 23% of those are speakers. And we are still lagging behind in ensuring our laws and policies fully incorporate the perspectives of women and guarantee equality in law and in practice. To bring about change, we need to be bold. To do so, we must first ensure 50-50 parity between men and women in Parliament, making it the norm rather than the exception. Why is parity so critical? It's because parity ensures our policies are more legitimate and effective, better reflecting the diversity of the people we serve. Many parliaments today have achieved parity, thanks to the strong gender quotas and political will. They span different regions, cultures, and political systems. But aiming for parity in numbers isn't enough. It is the starting point. We need to amplify women's voices and leadership in Parliament. And we need to address the persistent barriers preventing women from fully participating in political life, starting with discrimination, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. IPU studies revealed that 1 in 4 women members of Parliament globally has faced physical violence and 1 in 3 has endured economic violence. Over 80% of them have experienced psychological violence during their term in Parliament. An intersectional approach shows us that violence disproportionately affects young women, women with disabilities, unmarried women, and women from minority groups. This situation is unacceptable, dear colleagues, especially in institutions that are meant to set an example. The IPU Kigali Declaration, adopted in 2022, reaffirms our commitment to creating gender-sensitive parliaments where women are safe, valued, and empowered. Beyond parity, the declaration urges our parliaments to ensure gender-responsive lawmaking and budgeting, place vulnerable populations at the center of parliamentary action, and address the caregiving gap that hinders women's career development and advancement. In line with this, the recent launch of CEDAW Committee's General Recommendation number 40 on the equal and inclusive representation of women in decision-making systems reaffirms our collective responsibility and continue advancing women's rights. We have our roadmap. So, colleagues, what are we waiting for? Colleagues, the urgency of climate action cannot be overstated. The women's leadership is critical in shaping just, inclusive, and sustainable climate policies. Women, especially those in vulnerable communities, are often the first to face the devastating impacts of climate change, and their perspectives are essential for crafting solutions that are not only effective, but also equitable. I urge all our parliaments to push for gender-responsive climate policies that meaningfully integrate women's experiences and leadership. This is not just a moral imperative, but a practical one too. Similarly, in a rapidly evolving fields of AI and emerging technologies, parliaments must ensure innovation benefits everyone. As AI transforms economies and societies, we must foster gender-responsive policies that regulate AI to prevent the reinforcement of existing biases and inequalities. Women's voices must be central to these discussions if we are to harness technology in service of equality and progress for all. Economic empowerment is another key pillar of gender equality. discriminatory laws, limited financial access, and unequal pay and care responsibilities continue to hold back women. We must prioritize women's financial inclusion and empowerment, revisit our social protection, care and labor policies, lift legal barriers, and implement gender-responsive budgeting. These priorities were underscored in the Charter of Alagoas, and today we must recommit to turning them into reality. Parliaments must champion these efforts in collaboration with civil society and international organizations. Colleagues, the road ahead is challenging, but the path is clear. To achieve gender equality, we must transform our parliaments into institutions that truly reflect the diverse societies we serve. Women's leadership across all aspects of public life is no longer a matter of debate. It is a necessity for a sustainable future. As leaders and lawmakers, we have the power and the responsibility to create conditions that allow women and girls to thrive. As we look ahead next year, that marks 30 years since the adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, a landmark commitment for gender equality. Let us build on this momentum to ensure that gender equality remains at the forefront of our national and global undertakings. I thank you for the opportunity, and I thank you for listening.
In the heart of a place called Brazil, I found a wild secret, an ancient whisper that few hear. I walked and got lost in its vast lands, only to find myself among the echoes of the forest, where trees are sentinels and shadows tell stories. With each trail I explored, each river I crossed, this Brazil revealed a new chapter of its existence. The sound of the leaves at my feet was not mere sound, but a melody of adventure. It was a rhythm that I felt as being one of pure discovery. In this territory, ecotourism goes beyond our steps. It's a dive into the essence of a country that breathes life. My heart was not only captivated by the mysterious creatures of this kingdom, I embarked on river tales, was blinded by the golden dance of the rising sun, and delighted in ancient flavors and aromas on the banks of the magical rivers of the Amazon. Every moment a memory, every memory a reflection of me. I feel that the combination of ecology and tourism is a harmonious dance, an orchestra of colors, smells, sounds. It's a call from Mother Earth, a kind of seduction that makes our heart jump, not out of fear, out of love and curiosity. From the vibrant plains of the Pantanal to the crystal clear lagoons of Bonito, Brazil is a siren song for nature lovers. In every corner, a secret. In every secret, a story. And this secret, which shouts to everyone, is an invitation. At each step, you connect with stories that reveal secrets of the land, to legends and unique points of view. This country has shaped with much love a scenario where discovery and respect intertwine. And in every detail, our Brazil confirms in a loud and colorful manner that at the confluence of green and yellow, you will find more than landscapes. Come, feel, explore. Let Brazil touch your soul as it touched mine. Here, every trail has a story, and every discovery is a treasure. Brazil, the haven of dreams and ecotourism.
Excuse my sore throat. I'm Virginia Littlejohn, co-head of the U.S. delegation to the Women 20 and co-chair of Women's Entrepreneurship. In 2019, the Boston Consulting Group projected that equal participation of women and men in entrepreneurship could add up to $5 trillion annually, or 6%, to global GDP. Yet today, women-owned businesses represent only 1/3 of enterprises worldwide. For 5 years, global attention was diverted by the pandemic and economic recovery. Now it's time for the G20 and W20 to refocus on closing this gender gap, fueling GDP through building stair steps to trillions of dollars. We already have a roadmap from researchers, the OECD, UN, and World Bank. Strategies include creating a stakeholder action alliance that unites government officials, organizations, researchers, advocates, funders, and women entrepreneurs around an implementation plan and powerful platform. Sharing research, policies, and best practices online, and accelerating women's access to finance, markets, networks, mentoring, and tech-based capacity building. We can start today. Current W20 knowledge partners will engage. Brazil's presidency has identified numerous best practices. 2 initiatives we've championed for several years include the WeFi program's superb Women Entrepreneurs Finance Code at the World Bank, and advancing access to corporate and public procurement for women, an initiative being led by 2 agencies in the UN Women's Entrepreneurship Accelerator. Both initiatives come with detailed implementation guidelines and peer learning networks, and the W20 Women's Entrepreneurship Action Arm and our knowledge partners can work hand in hand with government officials to drive implementation every step of the way. We ask G20 leaders to incorporate both initiatives in Brazil's G20 Leaders Declaration this year. As the Harvard Business Review put it when the Boston Consulting Group first came out in 2019, and I quote, "Female entrepreneurs have the power to change the world. Closing the gender gap will unleash new ideas, services, and products globally," unquote. W20 and G20 must work together to make this happen now. We look forward to working with you to add up to $5 trillion to global GDP. Thank you.